What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock?
101.1 The Answer. Doc Washburn Show continues, where if we're talking about something, you will get into the conversation on the radio with us. Number to call is 501 401 1011. Buddy. You know, one of the things, there's a very famous guy who's running for a big position in Republican politics today who just made a huge mistake. Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, made a huge mistake today. And one of the things I learned when I was trying to run for governor 4 years ago, doing my best Don Quixote impersonation, tilting windmills all over the state, in hindsight, nobody told me this because I didn't have a campaign consultant. We were just doing it by the seat of our pants and a wing and a prayer. Nobody told me, okay, Doc, you got to shift gears now. And from the time you start running for governor until the primary, when you're going to be shellacked by someone with $11 million, you have to stop acting like a talk show host, because talk show hosts talk about all kinds of stuff, whatever's in the news. And you got to keep your eye on the ball and just talk about why people should vote for you. Nobody told me that. So apparently nobody told Mike Lindell, who is running for the Republican nomination for governor in Minnesota, that if you come out in favor of amnesty for illegals, you might not get the nomination. So here it is. JustTheNews.com. John Solomon's outfit. MyPillow founder Mike Lindell this week floated a 6-week amnesty program for illegal aliens in Minnesota to obtain work visas. Lindell is seeking the governorship and has the endorsement of President Trump. Lindell was interviewed by the Washington Examiner, and he said, and I quote, 6 months, all the illegal immigrants would have to go get what's going to be called a conditional work visa. Now, you're not a citizen, you can't vote, but you have this card that now you can work and you can go be paying taxes, be functioning in society, unquote. Now, see, last time I checked, most Republican voters, of which I am one, want mass deportations. We don't want to reward people who came here illegally. But Lindell, like a lot of people, apparently is a loose cannon. Now, I don't think I made any mistakes that were that bad when I was running for governor of Arkansas 4 years ago, but good grief. So anyway, justthenews.com says the proposal appears to stand in contrast to the Trump administration's pursuit of mass deportations. Mike Lindell currently seeking a Republican nomination, but is currently regarded as the front runner in that contest. Ooh, that's going to change. That's going to change. Minnesota is a Democratic bastion and hasn't backed a Republican at the national level since Richard Nixon in 1972. Well, they've had Republican senators. I don't even know what the guy's talking about here. The last Republican governor of the state was Tim Pawlenty, who left office in 2011. Yeah, so Lindell's opponent in the Republican primary for governor is a female U.S. representative. And I wonder if she's going to use this against him. This is just crazy. The great Dustin Grage Columnist at townhall.com, investigative reporting, political analysis. In the interest of full disclosure, townhall.com is one of the many wonderful conservative websites owned by Salem, the company that owns a radio station that you hear my voice on right now. So Dustin Grade says Mike Lindell just surrendered to the radical left by supporting amnesty for illegal aliens. And he has a whole 7.5-minute video of Mike Lindell's interview with Washington Examiner embedded in this tweet. He says Lindell came out in favor of conditional visas where you never have to leave the country regardless of citizenship, driver's licenses for illegals, government subsidies to illegals to gain legal status. Quote, you have illegals who are here illegally. They've never committed a crime, unquote. Oh! I thought that if you did something illegally, that was criminal. That's what I was told. Did someone lie to me? Did someone lie to me when they said, if you come across the border illegally, you have committed a crime? Because Mike Lindell just said that you have not committed a crime if you break the law to come across the southern border, the Rio Grande River, and in Northwest Texas illegally. Because Mike wouldn't lie to me. He's a good man, and I like his MyPillow products. I mean, I like those little MyPillow loafers and all that stuff. So why is Mike saying? Here's a headline. Oh, gosh. Washington Examiner. Mike Lindell proposes 6 months amnesty for illegal immigrants if elected Minnesota governor. Well, he don't have to worry about that anymore, does he? Dude, for real? I mean, the heck? So I just want you to know that I don't feel like the Lone Ranger because everybody is piling on Lindell today. And it's the first time I've ever seen him say anything that is so ridiculous. Oh, wait. No. No, it's not the first time. It's the second time. The first time was when Florida Governor Ron DeSantis won re-election by almost 20 points in 2022. And he was the first Republican candidate for governor that actually took Miami-Dade. Miami and Dade County are one and the same, which had been a hardcore blue area. First Republican gubernatorial candidate took Miami-Dade since who knows how long. And Mike Lindell was implying that he must have stolen it. He must have stolen it, and that Lindell was going to investigate that. Wonder what happened to that. I mean, come on, man. Seriously? You're running for the Republican nomination for governor, and you think it'd be a good idea to do amnesty for illegals. Now, I will tell you this. There are a lot of Republicans who are going to be paying attention to that race. Republicans in other parts of the country. And if somehow Lindell, by some miracle, was able to get the Republican nomination and then beat Amy Klobuchar, Democrat senator who's running for governor, then they would be like, oh, well, in that case, I guess it doesn't matter. And we could come out in favor of amnesty for illegals also. Do you think that's going to happen? No. I don't think it's going to happen either. Just so you know. So President Trump has a new announcement about Iran, and we're going to tell you all about it coming up as the Doc Washburn Show continues on Little Rock's premier talk station, 101.1 The Answer.
What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock?
In the world of generators, trust, not marketing, defines success. Northside Power is a trusted name when the power goes out. We're ranked #1 in generator sales, service, and installation. No gimmick and no side hustle. No matter your home's needs, Northside Power installs, service, and monitors generators 24/7. When the power goes out, excuses don't keep your lights on. Experience does. That's Northside Power. Generators isn't something we do, it's all we do. In the world of generators, trust, not marketing, defines success. Northside Power is a trusted name when the power goes out. We're ranked #1 in generator sales, service, and installation. No gimmick and no side hustle. No matter your home's needs, Northside Power installs, service, and monitors generators 24/7. When the power goes out, excuses don't keep your lights on. Experience does. That's Northside Power. Generators isn't something we do, it's all we do.
97 out of every 100 people who find your business online leave without ever making contact. Salem Media can put a human in charge of converting your website traffic to leads while you sleep. Call us today at 501-404-6535. Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Ellswick Show?
Do you think that Senator Thune has been doing a good job over in the Senate? Has he been able to move along the legislation that the Republican Party and the president want to see moved?
He's getting some stuff done over there. He's got a lot of obstacles he has to deal with as well. Yeah, I've got two bills in particular that I'd really like to see moved in the Senate, but they can't seem to find floor time. I met with a senator yesterday, and then a third bill coming up that I think will move. The president's behind it. There's huge bipartisan support for it. But you can still have with the rules of the Senate, you can have an individual senator hold a bill up just because they want to. Maybe they're negotiating for something else.
Don't miss Congressman Westerman, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 on the Dave Ellswick Show, 101.1 The Answer.
We had a great vacation, but then we came back home, and after a few days, we found bed bugs or hitchhikers. We're pretty sure they joined us during our travels. That's not the souvenir we wanted, but thanks to the Bug Man, we're better now. We just wish we'd called them sooner because, unfortunately, they had spread from room to room.
Call the Bugman at 663-9464 or go to bugman.com and check out their coupons. No contracts required. The Bugman has been serving our community for 45 years. Call 663-9464.
We bring you the biggest news stories of the day. Not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
The Answer, Doc Washburn Show continues. We're talking about something you want to get in the conversation. Number to call is 501-401-1011. So there's this headline. I was kind of wondering about this. There's this headline. I don't know what news site it's from. The guy that wrote it is a guy named Deepanjali Sharma. So it kind of makes you think, he ain't from around here. Anyway, the headline for the story says, Trump orders CENTCOM to open the gates of hell after U.S. troops launches strikes on Iran. And so I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the name Deepanjali Sharma, and I'm looking at the fact it's just a screenshot. We don't even know what news site it came from. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Caroline Leavitt retweeted it. And she is the official White House press secretary. So that kind of gives it an imprimatur that it's actually correct. If the White House press secretary is retweeting this screenshot of an article from somewhere, all of a sudden it doesn't matter where it's from. You know, it may as well be her saying it. Golly, I hope I'm making sense. It's so hot today. Yeah, so Eric Doherty over there on the X thing. Fine fella, the chief content officer over at Right Line News and Florida Voice News, says breaking President Trump just posted he has ordered U.S. CENTCOM to open the gates of hell on Iran after American troops were killed. He posted this right after attending the dignified transfer of 4 fallen American heroes. He's done. Pray for our forces in the region. It could get even more intense tonight. Do not be surprised if bridges or power plants are blown up soon, as Trump also said that will happen if Iran attacks the strait even once. Well, I mean, he said a while back that if they kill any Americans, they basically won't know what hit them. So, at long last, can we just have, please, regime change? At long last. We will be keeping a close eye between now and 6 p.m. Central at what's going on in Iran. So we'll let you know in the updates. Now, there are 4 U.S. representatives that are Republicans that just voted against codifying President Trump's executive order banning guys who like to dress up like girls and girls who like to dress up like guys from serving in the U.S. military. I think they call them transgenders. Anyway, the amendment failed 212 to 217 because of these 4 supposedly Republican U.S. representatives. Now they are, and I didn't realize that people were representatives from territories, not actual states, could vote in something like that. So one's from the Northern Mariana Islands, one's from Guam. Then you got Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania, and Mike Lawler, New York. And I'll tell you one thing. I will tell you one thing. Fox News will have Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania and Mike Lawler from New York on, and they won't ask about this. They'll come on Sean Hannity's show, and he will swear up one side down the other that these people are true blue conservatives, just like he did Lindsey Graham all those years when Lindsey Graham was voting for amnesty and all that stuff. Oh, by the way, so the sister, Lindsey's sister, who promised she was just going to be a placeholder, and there's going to be a primary to decide who the Republican voters of South Carolina want to be the next U.S. senator. And then a few days later said, no, you know what? I'm going to run for the 6-year term. So there's a piece of audio. I wish I could play it, but there was a lot of background noise. But if you look for it on social media, you can find it. She was in a hallway there on the Senate side of U.S. Congress. And a reporter was trying to ask her about the Save America Act. And she just kind of smiled and said, nice to see you. Have a great day. What does that tell you? You think she's bothered that we have no sign of life from Mitch McConnell? No. You think it troubles her that John Thune is determined to not get it passed? determined to stick his thumb in President Trump's eye and in your and my eye and refuse to save the republic by getting the Save America Act passed? No, she didn't care about that. She doesn't care about that at all. Now, I got to say something. You know who Guy Benson is? He is a commentator on a regular basis over on Fox News. And he's a gay guy who a few years ago said, "Oh, I'm marrying a guy." And now New York Post is reporting Fox News star Guy Benson welcomes baby girl. So he and his buddy paid a woman to carry a baby for 9 months and then took the baby away from her. Babies need their mothers. People like Guy Benson don't care. See, Brian Dawson over at 1819 News out there on X says, Fox News host rents woman's womb to create designer baby to carry around like a handbag. Then he says there can be no peace on the right with those who flaunt sodomy and child abuse. The sacraments of the godless left are baby murder and sodomy. If someone engages in those or supports them, there's nothing conservative about them. I take you back to the aforementioned Sean Hannity. I'll never forget when he had Bruce Jenner on, who had been on The View earlier that day, and Joy Behar kept on calling him a guy. And so Bruce Jenner goes on with Sean Hannity, and Sean Hannity says, I don't think Joy Behar intentionally misgendered you, Caitlin. The guy always said, I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative. What's Sean Hannity conserving? I don't know. I'm glad he's not on our station. I'm glad Guy Benson isn't either. So, yeah, but it is tragic. It is tragic that in most states, even if you have been found guilty of abusing a child, there's no law against you paying a woman to be a surrogate to deliver a newborn baby to you and your buddy. I wonder if it's against the law in Arkansas. I have to look that up. Tragic. If you want to talk about it, the number to call is 501-401-1011. The Doc Washburn Show continues on Little Rock's premier talk station. 101.1, The Answer.
Confusion never stops. Closing walls and ticking clocks.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The House adopted a Republican-only $95 billion budget proposal, a long-shot effort to fund the Iran war and other White House priorities. Speaker Mike Johnson worked Wednesday to push it over objections from Democrats and some GOP holdouts as priority before the midterm elections. The package includes $73 billion for the Pentagon and other national security needs. Tropical storm Bertha has made landfall on the southern tip of Louisiana. The storm moving slowly along the Gulf Coast on Wednesday, packing strong winds that extend as much as 100 miles from its center. Damaging winds and storm surge are the main threats for the Deep South states. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 6 points. The Nasdaq dropped 146. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A-plus rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-744-7344. 866-744-7344.
Whether retirement's just around the corner or already here, it's common to be overwhelmed. That's where Total Wealth with David Lucas can help. Utilizing their signature Thrive planning process, they'll work together with you to identify and resolve your concerns, allowing you to fully pursue your passions and enjoy life. Because a successful retirement isn't just how much you save, it's the quality of life you live. Schedule a free evaluation now at TotalWealth.com. While you're at the website, download the free guide to Social Security. It'll help answer a lot of your questions. Go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. One more time, go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. That's 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. Go to TotalWealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Lucas Total Wealth, an Arkansas registered investment advisor. Arkansas Insurance License number 1615273.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
You know your business inside and out, but does your community? With Salem Media's podcast and video production services, you can share your expertise and connect with customers on their commute or wherever they listen. We handle production and distribution, so your content reaches the right ears on multiple podcast platforms. Stop letting competitors own the conversation. Call Salem Media today and ask about our local business podcast packages. Call Chris at 210-526-3631. 210-526-3631.
.1, The Answer. Doc Washburn Show continues. If we're talking about something you want to talk about, number to call is 501-401-1011. Well, now this is interesting. CNN broke this morning. Model recruiter who introduced young women to Jeffrey Epstein found dead in France. How about that? A French professional model recruiter who for over a decade arranged for the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to meet multiple models was found dead at his home near Paris on Monday. Daniel Siad's body was found at his house in Colombes, a suburb of the French capital. According to Marie-Céline Lariche, deputy public prosecutor at the Nanterre Judicial Court. An autopsy will be performed on the body to determine the cause of death. CNN's Katie Poglace recently interviewed Siad, who said he had no reason to believe two women he had recommended to Epstein and who had told CNN that Epstein had abused them had actually been harmed by him. Even after Epstein's 2008 conviction on sex crimes, modeling industry insiders like Siad continued seeking business ventures with him, invited him to fashion events, and allowed him to associate with their companies. Siad said Epstein had assured him he had paid for his crimes and this would never happen with anybody that Siad referred to him. Well, hey, I guess he was in good company. Steve Bannon himself. Yeah, War Room Steve Bannon was doing PR for Jeffrey Epstein until shortly before Epstein was arrested for the last time. You didn't know that, did you? Well, I mean, I'm not here to protect people who might have an R by their name. I'm just letting you know. These things do happen. So anyway, yeah, whenever we see something like that, we try to pass it on to you because nobody else is going to. So President Trump out there today for the orderly transfer of our fallen service members. That's just awful. It's just, well, okay, yeah, he was asked about it. Trump asked about families of dead service members. If we could, just a real short audio clip. If we can play that one, please.
We love you. We love your child, and that's what they are to them. They're their children. There's no games, no nothing. That's their child. All you can do is throw out your heart.
And he has said more than once, it's just one of the toughest things that you can, as president, it's one of the toughest things that you have to do. It's just, it comes with the territory of being president of the United States, but it's just so awful. And again, he's out there saying he has instructed CENTCOM to open the gates of hell on Iran. He warned, if you kill any American service members, you won't know what hit you. So we'll keep updating that for you. Bill Malugin, Fox News, just dropped this a few minutes ago. Homeland Security confirms that the driver arrested for killing 3 people in a hit-and-run crash in Salisbury, North Carolina, right up the street from where I grew up in Charlotte, on Saturday, is an illegal alien from El Salvador with prior convictions for reckless endangerment, failure to stop after an accident involving damage, and driving without a license up in Maryland, plus an arrest for escaping from custody. Homeland Security says after his arrest for escaping from custody in Maryland in 2016, local law enforcement honored an ICE detainer and handed over Javier Peña Sola to the custody of ICE Baltimore, but the Obama administration released him back into the country 2 months later. Sola has now been charged with 3 felony counts of felony hit and run involving serious injury or death. He was found by a police canine after he tried to flee the scene of the crash. I wonder if our government's ever going to do anything about guys like this. Because you just keep seeing this stuff. And people keep on saying, I thought we voted to send them back. And are some of them being deported? Well, sure. Are enough of them being deported? I don't think so. So, speaking of which, speaking of illegals, speaking of amnesty, we have Brandon Gill, U.S. representative out of Texas, and he was on the Will Cain show. Now, Will Cain comes on Fox News before my show comes on at 4 Central, and Brandon Gill, very concerned about birthright citizenship, as all patriotic Americans should be, wants to do something about it. So Brandon Gill with Will Cain on birthright citizenship. Cut 1, please. I mean, if we have it.
We love you. We love your
No,
child.
that's definitely
American
not it.
citizenship is the most valuable thing in the world. That's why people all over the globe seek to come into the United States and want to become Americans, and why we have to protect it. But there's a few things that we can do going forward, and I'll say shy of a constitutional amendment that would clarify the 14th Amendment, which I think we would all love to see, but politically would be impractical at this point, given the opposition we have from the left. One is that the Congress can pass legislation that clarifies what's subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that phrase in the 14th Amendment that the left latches onto. And there's been legislation from some of my colleagues, which I support, that have done just that. I think those would get litigated, but that would at least move us in the right direction.
I think he's got a real good point there, because that is the part of the 14th Amendment everybody argues about, subject to the jurisdiction of. So the people in favor of birthright citizenship are like, well, somebody comes here from another country and has a baby. I mean, they're in the U.S., so they're subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. And the people who are against birthright citizenship point out that even the framers of the 14th Amendment said, now this does not apply, obviously, to people who are citizens of other countries, because they're subject to the jurisdiction of that country. So I'm glad that U.S. Representative Brandon Gill, good old conservative Republican from Texas, wants to do something about this. Let's go with cut 2, please.
You point out the political impracticality of a constitutional amendment. Isn't it also politically impractical, and not just because of Democrats, because of Republicans, to even get legislation on birthright citizenship? You could probably tell me the who, but I know there are Republicans who would stand opposed to that legislation.
Well, he's got a point there. You know that's correct. You know that not every Republican in the U.S. House wants to do the right thing. But Brandon Gill, I don't ever want to accuse him of naivety, but he's going to push back some on Will Cain here. Let's go with cut 3, please.
Well, I would hope that at this point, every Republican would recognize the problem that we have right now, that after 4 years of open borders under Joe Biden, that you have millions of people who came into this country illegally and who are now anchored to the United States because they have had children here. And that is an abuse of our immigration system, and it's an abuse of every single American in this country. So I would hope that all Republicans, certainly Republicans, would recognize that. And I think we got to continue making the case so that they do. I think certainly in the House of Representatives, they do.
So the problem with him saying that is not that it would be a bad thing to hope that all Republicans realize what the problem is. The problem with him saying that is that there are Republicans in the House trying to move a bill to give amnesty to illegal aliens who happen to be working in the agriculture industry, working on farms or meat processing plants or whatever. And maybe nobody on his staff has brought that to his attention yet. Maybe, I don't know. But a lot of conservatives have been concerned about it on social media. And he is in the U.S. House. He would hope that all Republicans want to do something to stop birthright citizenship, but I wonder what the Venn diagram would be between Republicans that want to stop birthright citizenship and Republicans that want amnesty for people here illegally, but who are working in agriculture. I think those are two separate circles. If you want amnesty for people who came here illegally and somehow got a job with Tyson up in Northwest Arkansas or at some farm or whatever, am I to think that you're really concerned about birthright citizenship? I don't know, man. I don't know. I know politicians are inconsistent, but anyway, So we got one more. Brandon Gill with Will Kane of Birthright Citizenship. Cut 4, please.
Apart from legislation that we can put forward, we can also implement greater enforcement. And that's what Governor Abbott has done so well recently by going after these businesses. That's what we're doing on the task force that I chair on the House Oversight Committee by investigating multiple different birth tourism companies. You cannot facilitate illegal activity. I think there's a compelling case to be made that these businesses are engaged in a criminal conspiracy, and we want to make sure that they're held accountable.
That'd be nice. Hey, look, I want to get rid of H-1B visas for that matter. And we got some news on that coming up, too, as the Doc Washer Show continues on Little Rock's premier talk station. 101.1, The Answer.
But I'm not gonna let 'em catch me though. Not gonna let 'em catch the midnight ride.
Do you have a child or grandchild about to turn 26? Hi, it's Doc Washburn. My friend Tammy Chase is a local insurance professional who meets with you in person. She takes the time to listen and understand your needs. Tammy will explain all the options available in plain language that's easy to understand. She loves to help people, and she's an expert you can trust. Call my friend Tammy Chase for expert help in making it easy. Tell her Doc sent you. TammyChaseInsurance.com.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1862, Abraham Lincoln signed the Morrill Act, helping states create colleges focused on agriculture, mechanics, science, and practical education. The principle was not centralized control, it was opportunity. Lincoln's Morrill Act reminds us that America can support education without surrendering education to Washington. Why did it matter? Because a free nation needs citizens equipped to work, build, steward, and govern themselves. Scripture gives work a sacred weight. In Genesis, God placed man in the garden to work it and to keep it. Proverbs honors the one who works his land. Paul warns against idleness and calls believers to earn their bread. Why does that still matter today? Because education should form capable people under God, not dependent subjects under bureaucracy.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
This is my home and my family, and little pests had invaded it and were ruining our wonderful home. But now we have the Bug Man to protect us. They inspect regularly to keep out the termites, ants, roaches, and other pests. They even protect our yard in the summertime with Bug Man mosquito treatments. And the Bug Man does it for way less than those national companies.
Get the upper hand. Call the Bug Man at 663-9464 or go to bugman.com. Schedule your free inspection. No contracts required. The Bug Man has been serving our community for 44 years.
101.1, The Answer. Doc Washburn Show continues. We're talking about something you want to talk about. You get on the air with us. Number to call is 501-401-1011. So with Iran, again, I think that we want the president to go ahead and finish the job. A couple of days ago, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was talking about how the negotiations didn't work and you can't trust Iran. And J.D. Vance looked like he'd been hit upside the face with a wet fish. But that's the truth. That's messed up. And it's got to change. Now, before the break, I was talking about the H-1B visas and how harmful they are for this country. And there are some people in Congress who want to do something about it. Let's go with Maria Bartiromo, H-1B question for U.S. Representative Wiley, please.
So they get their H-1B visa approved, and then they get fired from Microsoft. Congressman, you sent a letter to Federal Reserve Chairman Kevin Warsh after the CEO of Xbox was appointed to the Fed's Productivity and Jobs Task Force. Have you heard back?
Now, let me tell you what she's talking about there. Xbox, apparently owned by Microsoft, and Microsoft is firing American workers because they can bring in people from India and other places to work a lot more cheaply with the H-1B visas. I wonder if Tom Cotton is still in favor of H-1B visas. I don't know. I remember back in the day he was. Anyway, U.S. Representative Riley Moore, H-1B response. Cut one, please.
I've not heard back. You know, it's a little breaking news. I just sent this late afternoon yesterday before we headed to the floor, and I want her removed. I mean, so she's the head of productivity and jobs on this task force. I mean, I guess what's the strategy? Fire your workforce and apply for H-1B visas. I think the H-1B visa program needs to be done away with. I think it's a scam. I think it's replacing our people here in the United States. We are a country. We're not an international free trade zone where everybody can come in and compete for our jobs. The American worker is the only worker in the world that has to compete with workers from all over the world inside their own borders. And we have millions of people graduating college and technical school and trade school every year who are being outbid in terms of wages, not outworked. And I don't think that that's right. I think we need to get rid of the H-1B visa program.
Now, I wonder why it's so difficult to get rid of this. I wonder who's in favor of it. Maybe the Chamber of Commerce? Would they be big supporters of H-1B visas? I'll bet they are. Okay, Maria Bartiromo, second question for U.S. Representative Wiley, please.
You recently wrote an op-ed for Fox News Digital about it, the need to address issues with the H-1B visa approval process. Walk us through what can be done here, because, you know, you talk with CEOs out there of global businesses, and they're all in on the H-1B visa process and hiring people who have those visas. What are your concerns?
Well, and look, I get why they're for it. I mean, they get to import cheap foreign labor from all over the world. But look, we are a country. Citizens do have, I think, some type of exclusivity.
Well, we should. So I just Googled Chamber of Commerce H-1B visas. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce actively opposes the Trump administration's $100,000 H-1B visa fee, arguing it is an unlawful tax that harms businesses and startups. They filed a major lawsuit, Chamber of Commerce versus DHS, challenging the fee. The litigation is ongoing and tied up in a circuit split, with the fee currently remaining temporarily enforceable pending appeal. The core argument: the chamber contends the $100,000 annual fee violates the Immigration and Nationality Act. They maintain that only Congress, not the executive branch, has the authority to set or raise visa fees. The legal battle has seen conflicting decisions. While a U.S. District Court in D.C. rejected the Chamber's bid to block the fee in December 2025, a federal judge in another jurisdiction ruled the fee an unlawful tax and struck it down. Current status: the government appealed the adverse ruling, And an appeals court granted a temporary stay. As a result, the H-1B fee remains in effect while the appeals process plays out, with the dispute potentially headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, if Congress were willing to buck the Chamber of Commerce and get rid of the H-1B visas, then the lawsuit would be moot, wouldn't it? I don't think that's going to happen, though, do you? By the way, update a few minutes ago from Paul Sperry over at Real Clear Investigations. An FBI analyst wrote in a 2020 pre-election email, quote, "Most concerning to me is higher-ups at headquarters stating the China election plot reporting would contradict with Director Wray's testimony. I found this troubling because it implied to me that one of the reasons we aren't putting this out is for political reasons, which goes directly against our organization's mission to remain apolitical and simply state what we know. My concern is that I think it gets dangerous if we cite potential political implications as reasons for not putting out our information." How about that? Yeah, that would be one of the things out there in all of this evidence that President Trump put out on whitehouse.gov Thursday evening as he was giving his speech, that the mainstream media ignored, and Fox News dropped like a hot potato as soon as the speech was over. I wonder why they would do that. There's several different reasons being put out there. Who knows? All right, the Doc Washburn Show continues. There's a lot more to talk about in the second hour today. Doc Washburn Show continues as we continue on Little Rock's premier talk station, 101.1 The Answer.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1862, Abraham Lincoln signed the Morrill.
If things don't change, can you imagine America in 20 years? Scary thought, isn't it? The good news is we have the power to take our nation back. Stay right here for all the information you need. 101.1 The Answer.
Feeling like a family getaway, but don't want to go too far? Need a true adventure, but don't want to spend too much? Want a ton of stuff to do that's all in the same place? Welcome to Arkansas State Parks, where in a couple hours drive, you can change your scenery and your state of mind. With active adventures or just gorgeous views where you can catch your breath, we have 52 state parks to choose from. Plan your getaway at arkansasstateparks.com. Brought to you by this station and the Arkansas Broadcasters Association.
There's a real battle going on, not only for our future, but that of our children and grandchildren. How do we ensure they have it better than we do? One way is to keep listening to us. We're your information source in the battle. 101.1 The Answer. Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our app, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. There's no let-up in U.S. strikes on Iran.
The U.S. military completed an 11th night of strikes on Iran. Central Command saying the latest targets included aircraft hangars and drone storage sites. Iranian air defenses activated near the capital, Tehran, and Iran's state-run news agency reported explosions in half a dozen provinces. Before those strikes, Iran's interior minister had traveled to Pakistan, a key mediator. But at the White House Tuesday, President Trump told reporters,
"Until they're ready to meet in a meaningful way, we have no interest."
And the conflict appears to be widening. Yemen's Houthi rebels declaring a naval blockade of Saudi Arabia. I'm Ben Thomas.
Ukraine is pushing on with its fight against Russia under new military leadership.
President Volodymyr Zelensky fired his commander-in-chief after public pressure. This change follows a rift between the outgoing army chief and defense minister, both of whom lost their jobs. The new army chief, Major General Mikhailo Zhupataya, is part of a new generation of Ukrainian generals. Zelensky has tasked Zhupataya with updating the defense strategy. Street protests in Kyiv demanded the return of the tech-savvy defense minister, Mikhailo Fedorov. Meanwhile, Ukrainian drones have struck warehouses in Russia, targeting facilities they say are being used for drone production. I'm Charles Dillard.
The House adopted a Republican-only $95 billion budget proposal, a long-shot effort to fund the Iran war and other White House priorities. Speaker Mike Johnson worked Wednesday to push it over objections from Democrats and some GOP holdouts as priority before the midterm elections. The package includes $73 billion for the Pentagon and other national security needs. On Wall Street, the Dow by 6 points, the Nasdaq dropped 146, the S&P lower by 10. More at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options: debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
With your news flash, John Loretto, 101.1 The Answer. A judge in Saline County dismissed an order of protection request against a state trooper after the accuser failed to appear in court. The woman had accused the trooper of rape and making threats against her life. In Benton County, an attorney actively seeking additional victims in a high-profile child sexual abuse of material case involving artificial intelligence. The owner of Bloodworth Photography in Bentonville facing more than 200 criminal charges in the case, and attorneys are looking for additional victims. Little Rock police made an arrest in the homicide of 55-year-old Otis Shavers on Breckenridge Drive. 39-year-old Robert Fluker charged in connection to the case. Tammy Chase Insurance, your local insurance expert, taking the time to understand your needs with no confusion and no pressure. Find out more at TammyChaseInsurance.com. John Loretto with your news flash on 101.1 The Answer.
With your sports flash, I'm Tony Desiri, 101.1 The Answer. The Cardinals looking to snap a 4-game losing skid later this afternoon as they take on the Angels in Anaheim to wrap up a 3-game series. They fell on Tuesday 5-1. It'll be Hunter Dobbins getting the start against Reed Detmers. NASCAR will be racing one of its crown jewel events Sunday, the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 160 laps around the 2.5-mile track. Bubba Wallace, the defending champion. It's also the championship round of the in-season challenge. Todd Gilliland and Ryan Blaney going head-to-head for $1 million. The Dallas Cowboys will have veterans and rookies report to training camp in Oxnard, California on Tuesday of next week. Preseason opener for Dallas August 15th against the Seattle Seahawks. And at SEC Media Days in Tampa, Arkansas will be speaking on Thursday with new head coach Ryan Silverfield. The sports update brought to you by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri with your sports flash on 101.1 The Answer.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-431-2715. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-431-2715. 800-431-2715. 800-431-2715.
Live from Little Rock, Doc Washburn.
It's fun when they let me out to go talk to people.
He's like the adorable puppy, you know. He chews on your Christian Louboutins, but somehow you still love him.
They say I'm a distinguished radio talk show.
No insult intended. The news you don't get anywhere else. Doc Washburn.
It's good to be able to get out of the studio so that I can actually kiss hands and shake babies.
You just can't make this stuff up.
As we say here in the natural state, y'all come see us.
You better watch what you say, or you might just find yourself with the lead role.
The Doc Washburn Show, weekday afternoons 4 to 6.
If I don't lie down and take a nap, I'm going to keel over.
Doc Washburn on 101.1. The Answer.
Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock?
101.1 The Answer. The Doc Washburn Show continues, where if we're talking about something, you want to get into the conversation, talk to us about it on the radio. The number to call is 501-401-1011. All right. Again, if you weren't listening earlier, the president, in response to Iran killing 4 American service members, has instructed CENTCOM to open the gates of hell on Iran. And I would think in the next few hours, we'll find out what that means. So, war is a terrible thing. And we need to end this. And I hope that the president will stop listening to J.D. Vance and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and start listening to Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth. Just so you know. Okay, hat tip to Eric Doherty over there on X. Just in, Senator Mike Lee, just a few minutes ago, told Senate Republican leadership to cancel recess, work through weekends, nuke the 60-vote zombie filibuster, force Democrats to expend political capital opposing the Save America Act on the floor, and send the bill to President Trump with a majority vote. No more laziness. Quote from Senator Lee from Utah. He said, "We could break the Democrats' filibuster the old-fashioned way. Make them actually speak on the Senate floor, knowing we can call the question and pass it at a simple majority threshold the minute they stop speaking. We could add pressure by working through weekends and recess weeks as needed, with a public commitment to keep the Senate in session until the bill passes. Right now, Senate Democrats enjoy all the benefits of the filibuster with none of the political cost and without even having to work for it. We could also advance key provisions of the Save America Act using budget reconciliation, or we could nuke the filibuster. But doing nothing, as Democrats increasingly abuse the filibuster, is no longer defensible, especially as evidence continues to mount that hundreds of thousands of non-citizens are registered to vote in U.S. elections. Yeah, I mean, we could, but I don't think enough Republicans in the Senate want to do that. Oh, hey, did you hear about this story? Conan Harris, a convicted felon who served 10 years in federal prison for drug trafficking and is married to Democrat U.S. Representative Ayanna Pressley, just had a teenage girl found shot to death inside one of his properties. Now, if he was married to a Republican member of Congress, do you think you might have heard about it? Do you wonder why you haven't heard about it until you just heard me mention it? I mean, seriously. The husband of a member of Congress, and not just any member of Congress, but one of the squad, don't you know? A dead body found in one of their properties. Representative Ayanna Presley's husband, Conan Harris, convicted drug trafficker who served 10 years in federal prison. 2 days ago, had a dead body discovered at his home. Now he's been installed as deputy director of public safety for the Boston mayor's office. That's who Democrats like to put in charge of safety. Now, CBS News reported on it. Oh, CBS News Boston. I doubt that it made national news. Boston police are investigating the discovery Saturday of a dead body that was found at a property owned by the husband of Congresswoman Ayanna Presley of Massachusetts. Police spokesperson James Mochia told CBS News Boston on Saturday that officers were called to a house on Malta Street in Boston's Mattapan neighborhood about 1:52 p.m. for a report to investigate a person. When they arrived, they found the person dead. Boston police spokesman James Mochia did not have any further details. Said the homicide unit was handling the investigation. A Boston police cruiser was seen outside the home Saturday evening. It's Wednesday evening now. And the media is ignoring it. I even seen Fox News saying about it. Sealed off with red crime scene tape on Sunday. Police said they had no additional information to add. Oh, wait. There's an update Monday. Boston police said the person found dead inside a home owned by Representative Ayanna Presley's husband died of a gunshot wound. Oh, really? How about that? See, and the crazy thing for those of us here in Arkansas, just now finding out about the story, is apparently there's no evidence whatsoever that the 18-year-old woman found dead inside the home of the husband of Congresswoman Ayanna Presley. There's no evidence whatsoever that she knew either one of the Clintons. So I don't know. You know, you got to wrap your mind around that. Wait. They asked for it. They asked for it. Mike Davis, Article 3 Project out there on Real America Voice saying if you're a non-citizen, if you should not be in this country, you should understand now the Trump DOJ, the Trump DHS, Trump ICE can hunt you down legally, throw you in detention, and you're going to sit in detention for a very long time. Well, that's fantastic. That's great. That's what we voted for. And yet, there are Republicans in the U.S. House who are trying to get amnesty for people here illegally if they work in agriculture. Now, somebody asked, a reporter in the Oval Office asked President Trump about that. He didn't seem to be familiar with the idea. We have an audio clip. Trump asked about amnesty for illegal farm workers. Can you play that, please?
There's a bill right now that's being considered that would allow illegal aliens who are working in farming to get legal status. Do you support that legislation?
I don't know about it. I'll take a look at it.
Well, I hope he won't support it. Now, the good news is President Trump was giving a speech today. I think he was in Georgia. And he's talking about the fact that they have sealed our southern border. So that's a good thing. We have an audio clip called Trump says no new illegals. If we play that, please.
And numbers were just released by the Democrats that in the past 14 months, a historic record of 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States. And now our crime numbers are among the lowest they've ever been. It's plummeting downward. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Nationwide crime has been the lowest numbers that we've had in many, many decades. Last year, we achieved the largest drop in the murder rate ever recorded to the lowest level in 125 years. That's since 1900. That's before my father was born.
That's the good Trump. That's fantastic. You always want to give credit where it's due. And so we do. More coming up as the Doc Washer Show continues on Little Rock's premier talk station, 101.1 The Answer.
What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock?
Whether you're rolling down the highway or just up late, the Overnight Drive with Steve Summers is your live overnight companion. Come along for the ride, weeknight overnights from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. on 101.1 FM, The Answer. Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
So the Democratic message for the 2026 midterm is, we don't love America. That's it. The message from the left is, as long as people that we don't like are allowed to win elections, we hate America. That's a heck of a thing to be running an election on. We hate America.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or Salem Podcast Network. Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Ellswick Show?
Do you think that Senator Thune has been doing a good job over in the Senate? Has he been able to move along the legislation that the Republican Party and the president want to see moved?
He's getting some stuff done over there. He's got a lot of obstacles he has to deal with as well. I've got two bills in particular that I'd really like to see moved in the Senate, but they can't seem to find floor time. I met with a senator yesterday, and then a third bill coming up that I think will move. The president's behind it. There's huge bipartisan support for it. But you can still have with the rules of the Senate, you can have an individual senator hold a bill up just because they want to. Maybe they're negotiating for something else.
Don't miss Congressman Westerman, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 on the Dave Ellswick Show, 101.1 The Answer. What if you could take 101.1 The Answer with you everywhere? You can. Download the 101.1 The Answer app and stay connected to the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Ellswick. Stay sharp with Doc Washburn. And hear from national voices like Chris DeGaulle, Scott Jennings, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, and Mike Gallagher. Breaking news, bold opinions, local insight, national perspective, all in one place, all in your pocket, at work, in the car, on the go. If it matters to Arkansas and America, you'll hear it on 101.1 The Answer. Plus, stream us live anywhere. Catch up on podcasts and never miss a moment. Search 101.1 The Answer in your app store and download it today. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The news never stops, and neither does your schedule. That's why we're here, keeping you up to date with all the biggest stories of the day. We're 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
The Answer. Doc Washer Show continues. If we're talking about something you want to talk about on the radio, number to call is 501-401-1011. Now, over at Jihad Watch, they got a website about the mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. He went on camera, just went on camera the past 24 hours and counted dead Hamas terrorists as innocent victims of the war in Gaza. Yes, indeed. The mayor of New York City is publicly mourning terrorists who invaded Israel, raped women, burned families alive, kidnapped children, and, for that matter, have repeatedly tried to murder Jews in New York City and around the world. Zohran Mamdani does not distinguish between civilians and Hamas because he doesn't want to. To him, a dead Hamas murderer is one more victim of, quote, the Jews, unquote. Millions of New Yorkers voted for that man. Disgusting, isn't it? And a big hat tip to Yehuda Teitelbaum for posting the embedded video out there on X. Speaking of which, you're not going to like this. Dan Bermawi is warning people what's going to happen. Zohran Mamdani will stand and speak on the 25th anniversary of September 11th. And instead of condemning Islam, which was behind 9/11 attacks, he will continue to attack Israel, the only country still fighting his Allah. Americans allowed this to happen, but whether they like it or not, we will not let them destroy themselves. Dan Bermawi's publishing company is going to publish a new book on 9/11, showing the explicitly Islamic foundations behind the attacks. More details coming up. So, just letting you know. Marjorie Taylor Greene, remember her? Used to masquerade as conservative. She's out there whining about passing the Save America Act. And it's crazy. She's been photographed recently with Medea Benjamin from Code Pink, which is funded by the Communist Chinese. And here we thought that she was a conservative Republican. Right up until she wanted to run for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate in Georgia, and she had a little hissy fit because Trump wouldn't endorse her. Oh, well. Breaking news, the Houthis strike Saudi-linked ship with a missile near the Bab al-Mandab Strait. The ship was hit in the Red Sea near the coast of Al-Shukaik in Saudi Arabia. It means that fighting is now going on both in the Hormuz Strait and the Bab al-Mandab Strait. I think it's going to be bad news for the Houthis. I mean, they clearly think they are invulnerable. Right up until they get taken out. It's insane. But again, and I shared this with you a while back, and the Houthis are just like the people in charge of the jihad regime that is occupying Iran. As long as they are still alive, it doesn't matter how hard we're hitting them. As long as they are still alive, they believe that that is evidence that Allah is protecting them. It doesn't matter how many people in charge of the Iranian regime we've already taken out. As long as these guys who are on like the third level or whatever are still alive, they're like, well, Allah's protecting us. It's all good. No worries here. So we got to finish the job, in my humble opinion. And you're entitled to it. We must finish the job. It really is incredible what's going on out there. And every once in a while, I have a little bit of good news. U.S. Congressman Andy Biggs, conservative Republican, who won the Republican nomination for governor of Arizona last night. That was pretty cool because early on, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders had endorsed a very moderate woman who had announced that she was running in the Republican nomination for Republican primary for governor in Arizona. And then she dropped out, and the true conservative running, Andy Biggs, I don't think that after Sarah's preferred candidate dropped out, I don't think she said, okay, well, let's all get together. Let's circle the wagons around the actual conservative. I don't think that happened. I know you're shocked. Anyway, I don't know, is there an office pool about how soon there's going to be regime change in Iran? Golly, I hope he doesn't. No, you're right. Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, just did a. Well, he's, President Trump has endorsed him for the Republican nomination for governor in Minnesota. And so Mike Lindell just did an interview with Washington Examiner, in case you weren't listening to the top of the show, supporting amnesty for illegal aliens. He said he wants conditional visas for like 6 months where you don't have to leave the country regardless of citizenship. He wants driver's licenses for illegals, government subsidies to illegals to gain legal status. Mike Lindell, here's the quote from Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, who I've supported for years. He says, you have illegals who are here illegally. They've never committed a crime. Well, see, the problem with that is that I think it's a criminal act to come here illegally. That's the impression I'm laboring under. And if you've ever labored under an impression, the kind of pain I'm experiencing. I mean, anyway, he does have a Republican opponent in the primary, and she is a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, and maybe she'll use what Mike said against him in the primary. I don't know. Crazier things have happened. I'm Doc Washburn. More coming up on Little Rock's premier talk station, 101.1 The Answer.
Do you have to let it linger? Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger?
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military has announced that they are conducting their 12th night of strikes against Iran, as both sides are increasingly targeting civilian infrastructure. U.S. Central Command said Wednesday that the strikes are designed to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten civilian mariners and commercial vessels transiting regional waters, as the U.S. pushes to regain control over the Strait of Hormuz and restore the flow of international shipping. Tropical storm Bertha has made landfall on the southern tip of Louisiana. The storm, moving slowly along the Gulf Coast on Wednesday, is packing strong winds that extend as much as 100 miles from its center. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 6 points. The Nasdaq dropped 146. The S&P 500 lower by 10. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-744-7344. 866-744-7344.
If you're watching the market, you may know that gold has pulled back more than 20% from its recent highs. Silver has fallen even further. History shows that this could be the perfect time to diversify your retirement portfolio to include precious metals like gold and silver. In crisis after crisis over the last 50 years, gold fell first, then surged to new highs as the crisis unfolded. That's why Advantage Gold wants to send you a free gold investment guide valued at $49, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's best-selling book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, when you call 800-900-8000. In today's market, government debt has exploded to nearly $40 trillion, and central banks around the world continue buying gold at record levels. The smart money sees opportunity. If you're considering diversifying a retirement account with precious metals, tax and penalty-free, now is the best time to call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Whether retirement's just around the corner or already here, it's common to be overwhelmed. That's where Total Wealth with David Lucas can help. Utilizing their signature Thrive planning process, they'll work together with you to identify and resolve your concerns, allowing you to fully pursue your passions and enjoy life. Because a successful retirement isn't just how much you save, it's the quality of life you live. Schedule a free evaluation now at TotalWealth.com. While you're at the website, download the free guide to Social Security. It'll help answer a lot of your questions. Go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. One more time, go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. That's 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. Go to TotalWealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Lucas Total Wealth, an Arkansas registered investment advisor. Arkansas Insurance License number 161527443.
.1 The Answer. Doc Washburn Show continues. We're talking about something you want to talk about on the radio with us. The number to call is 501-401-1011. Now, the president's giving a speech down there, I think in Georgia, and he just kind of lost his patience. And, well, here's what he said. Everybody call John Thune at the Senate and tell him to get this stuff approved. Terminate the filibuster and approve everything because the Democrats are going to do it. The Democrats are going to terminate the filibuster as soon as they have a chance, and they're going to approve Puerto Rico and D.C. as states. They'll get 4 more senators. They're going to get in up with 12 more congressmen. They're going to get like 40 electoral votes. If they're allowed to do that by that time, I'll be sitting home, and I'm not a big crier. I don't think you want to see me cry, you know. There's some people, they do very well when they cry, but you don't want to see me cry, but I may be crying when I'll be sitting home, and I'll say, I told them. They got to really terminate the filibuster, get everything approved right away. That's what President Trump said out there. Everybody call John Thune. So I wonder if Fox News is going to cover that tonight. I wonder. Because I don't know, man. I don't know. No. Look, I understand the overwhelming majority of Americans don't watch Fox News. I get it. The overwhelming majority of Americans don't watch any kind of news. I understand that. And yet those of us who do what I do, and those of us who, are concerned about what's going on in the country, what are you going to do? I mean, Fox News, Newsmax, you get a lot of stuff on social media, you get a lot of stuff on the internet. And President Trump is trying to warn you what could happen if they don't get rid of the filibuster. He's out there today on Truth Social saying 35,152 is a new number just released by Homeland Security of non-citizens registered to vote in New Jersey. And these are just the ones that got caught. The real numbers will prove to be many times this amount. They are all Democrats. Republicans get smart and straighten out our crooked elections. Pass the Save America Act. And you got Coach Tommy Tuberville, U.S. Senator from Alabama, saying exactly why we need the Save America Act. But the question is, will we get it? And again, I want to take you back. I want to take you back to what's going on in South Carolina. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham recently passed away. And so President Trump thought it would be a nice thing to appoint his sister to finish his term. He was running for re-election. He already won his primary. I wonder what that noise is. He was running for re-election and already won his primary. And so he was cruising to another 6 years because he was going to beat whoever the Democrat was in November. And so he passed away. President Trump appointed his, I guess the governor of South Carolina, at President Trump's suggestion, Henry McMaster, South Carolina governor, at President Trump's suggestion, appointed Lindsey's sister to finish out the term. And we were told, well, it's just going to be a placeholder. Just going to be a placeholder. They're going to have an actual primary to see who actually is the Republican nominee to run in November against the Democrat nominee for the 6-year term. And a few days later, she's like, I've been thinking about it. I've been praying about it. And actually, I'm throwing my hat in the ring. I'm going to run for the 6-year term. Well, today, a reporter tried to ask her in a hallway there in Congress where she was in the Save America Act. She's like, hey, nice to see you. Have a nice day. Now, if you can't say, of course, I want to pass the Save America Act, how is that supposed to bring any kind of confidence to Republican voters who are getting ready to vote in a primary between you and people with name recognition in South Carolina are actually conservatives. Just a thought. Just a thought. All right, now we're at the point where Arkansas news and national news intersect. Alex Thomas over at Arkansas Democrat Gazette has an article, Trump administration officials face Bozeman and other senators over potential farm relief and Iran war funds. See, Bozeman is the last name of one of our two U.S. senators. His name is John Bozeman, Boozman. And a lot of people in this state who have heard of our other U.S. Senator, Tom Cotton, could not tell you the name of the other one, John Bozeman. A lot of people in the state have no idea who he is, never heard of him. So anyway, Arkansas Democrat Gazette says Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said Tuesday the Trump administration has steered the nation's agriculture industry in the right direction, but stressed farmers will need financial assistance as the White House's policies require time to take effect. In the meantime, the American agriculture sector is 2 or 3 years away from a significant reduction in farmers, according to U.S. Senator John Bozeman, Republican of Arkansas. Secretary Rollins joined Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, on Capitol Hill to discuss the White House's $87.6 billion supplemental funding request with U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee yesterday. And John Bozeman serves on that Appropriations Committee. Now, most of the White House's request concerns, oh no, it's not the Defense Department, it's the Department of War. Apparently, the reporter, the Democrat Gazette, doesn't realize there was a name change. Including the costs of the United States' ongoing war with Iran, but officials want congressional approval to set aside over $11 billion for agriculture relief. Row and specialty crop farmers would be eligible for $10 billion in temporary economic assistance under the proposal. Agriculture Secretary Rollins told senators it provides a bridge and extends a hand to Americans who need it. It buys the nation the security that we need, and it buys us time to deconstruct and reconstruct a new system, putting our farmers and ranchers first, and to restore the system that originally made America great. So, farming operations, according to the Democrat Gazette, have faced economic challenges for years because of rising input costs and low crop prices. Research from the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture shows a nationwide rise in Chapter 12 bankruptcy filings, with Arkansas having the largest year-over-year increase in the country. Now, the Democrat Gazette says that the Iran war has worsened farmers' economic woes. They don't say that's the opinion of so-and-so over here. They don't attribute it to anybody. They just present it as if it's revealed truth, etched in stone, and maybe handed over to Moses on Mount Sinai. It's just like, this is true, believe us. I wonder why hardly anybody reads paper anymore. Anyway, the military conflict shut down container ship traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, a trade route connecting the Persian Gulf to international markets, causing fertilizer and oil prices to spike. Well, now, wait a minute. I think that Iran might have had something to do with that. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins defended the Trump administration's agriculture strategy. She touted in part the White House's negotiations to improve foreign market access for American producers. The United States is projected to have a negative agricultural trade balance of $29 billion at the end of the fiscal year, an improvement from an almost $44 billion deficit in 2025. Secretary said the trade agreements will take time to fully execute and generate even more exports. We are confident that the direction of American agriculture is changing for the better, but many producers continue to face economic pressure as we build that economic infrastructure out. Senator Mike Rounds, Republican, South Dakota, said the economic assistance funds would provide farmers with some financial stability as operations continue feeling the impact of President Trump's agriculture agenda. He said, feeding and fueling the world has never been easy. Producers continue showing up year after year despite drought, floods, disease, pests, volatile markets, and other challenges beyond their control. So the White House is pushing the supplemental funding request as federal lawmakers eye passing a farm bill updating agriculture programs before year's end. Arkansas Senator John Boesen introduced the discussion draft of the Senate bill in late June in his capacity as chair of the Senate Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry Committee. Senator Boesen said during Tuesday's hearing that the nation's... I thought they were going to get around to him sooner or later here, which is why we're in the middle of this. Senator Boesen said during Tuesday's hearing that the nation's agriculture economy could lose a quarter of its farmers in the next 2 or 3 years. He said right now we're in a generational crisis. While Bozeman shared appreciation for the White House's inclusion of agricultural economic relief in its supplemental funding request, the senator also said that the $11.1 billion may not be enough. He said we might need to look at bumping that up a little bit. Wow. I'll tell you what Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said coming up. The Doc Washburn Show continues on Little Rock's premier talk station, 101.1, The Answer.
To be the sad man behind the lines.
And now it's time for the Cat's Corner.
This is John Catsimatidis, the Cat's Corner. Well, I remember the movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. What happened? We have too many politicians in Washington that know nothing about business. Why? We need more common sense in Washington. Whether we're talking about the federal government, state government, you need common sense. We need the balance of power in our government. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, professionals, business people, and blue-collar workers. And that's the only way we can come out with common sense. Putting on taxes and regulations without knowledge of what happens. Some of the states are not doing a good job. All they do is raise taxes. And then when they need more money, they tax the taxes. I mean, you got to laugh about it, but it's happening. We need people that have common sense, a balance of power in all our legislative functions to be able to operate our country, our states, our cities more efficiently. This is John Catsimatidis, the Cat's Corner.
America is at a tipping point. To ensure we stay the land of the free and home of the brave, you need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Do you have a child or grandchild about to turn 26? Hi, it's Doc Washburn. My friend Tammy Chase is a local insurance professional who meets with you in person. She takes the time to listen and understand your needs. Tammy will explain all the options available in plain language that's easy to understand. She loves to help people, and she's an expert you can trust. Call my friend Tammy Chase for expert help in making it easy. Tell her Doc sent you. TammyChaseInsurance.com.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
So the Democratic message for the 2026 midterm is, we don't love America. That's it. The message from the left is, as long as people that we don't like are allowed to win elections, we hate America. That's a heck of a thing to be running an election on. We hate America.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or Salem Podcast Network. We bring you the biggest news stories of the day. Not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
101.1 The Answer. Doc Washburn Show continues. We're talking about something you want to talk about. Number to call is 501-401-1011. So yesterday, up on the Hill, you had Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. You had the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Raisin Kane. You had Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins. And they were all there to talk about budgetary needs. And the Senate Appropriations Committee, Arkansas Senator John Boson serves on that committee. Before the break, we told you a lot about the agricultural concerns. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth faced questions from senators regarding the proposed $67 billion for the... No, it's not the Defense Department. Yeah, it's a shame that some guy at the Arkansas Democrat Gazette thinks he's a journalist, and he doesn't realize there is no Defense Department. It's the Department of War. Anyway, he pushed a proposed $67 billion alongside the White House's $1.5 trillion defense budget proposal. Secretary said the supplemental would serve as an urgent, necessary injection of resources to meet immediate needs, but emphasized the War Department needs more funds to implement the Trump administration's vision for the agency. Here's the quote from Pete Hegseth. The members of this committee understand better than most that long-term strategic dominance cannot be funded through one-off supplements. President Trump's following a simple logic. The military requires a generational investment to deliver on peace through strength. Democrat Gazette says the supplemental funding request calls for over $17 billion to cover the operational costs of the Iran war, as well as $21 billion for munitions procurement. During Tuesday's hearing, Pete Hegseth estimated the Iran war has cost over $37 billion so far. Washington Senator Patty Murray, one of the dimmest bulbs in the history of Congress, in my humble opinion, and you're entitled to it, but she's the committee's top Democrat. She balked at Hegseth's comments. No way! You're kidding me. Somebody who thought Osama bin Laden was a pretty good guy balked at Pete Hegseth's comments. Yes, she did. She said the White House still lacks a clear goal for the war, nearly 5 months into the conflict, describing the Trump administration's approach as downright flippant. Well, he's flippant towards you, and you deserve it. She said, my colleagues and I cannot and will not support rubber stamping a request to bankroll this war and whatever other misadventures Trump wants us to get into next. The American people want to see a quick and strategic end to this war, not $70 billion for their tax dollars sent to keep it going. Man, she is dense, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. She is dense. Alex Thomas, Arkansas Democratic Gazette, says House of Representatives is considering a separate budget plan to authorize $95 billion in federal spending over the next decade. The plan primarily addresses agriculture, defense, and intelligence programs. But $10 billion would be offered to states for implementing strict voter registration restrictions. Wow. That's pretty amazing. But what's really amazing to me, again, I just can't get over what I found out shortly before the show started today, that Mike Lindell wants amnesty for illegals. And that's not just any Mike Lindell. That's the Mike Lindell who's running for the Republican nomination for governor of Minnesota. I just can't can't wrap my mind around it. Okay, so you know who Rob O'Neill is? Rob O'Neill is the guy who, well, he's the guy who claims to have killed Osama bin Laden, and he may very well have. SEAL Team 6 back in the day. Andrew Colvett, the guy who is the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, bringing this to everybody's attention. Rob O'Neill went on Newsmax and said the following about Charlie's assassination. Quote, I don't think Charlie Kirk got shot the way they're saying. It seems like a cover-up, unquote. Former Army Ranger, sniper, and Green Beret Matt Tardio's response says, yep, he's wrong. Tardio walks through terminal ballistics and answers why the shirt moved the way it did. The full interview is worth hearing, and that is on the Charlie Kirk Show over there on Real America's Voice. I just, for the life of me, I don't know how to have a conversation with anyone who takes Candace Owens seriously. She just continues to lie. And, you know, I've gotten into arguments on Facebook with people who are saying, well, why will we trust the feds? Why will we trust the mainstream media? This is just a bunch of Fed slop. And you try to explain to these people, the feds and the mainstream media aren't prosecuting this case. The state of Utah is. And the preliminary hearing, I don't know how much of it you saw, if you saw any of it. There was such an overwhelming amount of evidence that Tyler Robinson did what they're claiming he did. All the defense could do was beg and plead with the court, oh, please don't release that piece of evidence to the public. But we'll see what happens. The great Dave Ellswick and Val Emmons tomorrow morning at 7:06. I'm Doc Washburn, and I'll see you at 4:06 tomorrow, God willing, 101.1 The Answer.
How many times are you going to walk into that outdated bathroom and think, I really need a bathroom makeover? Stop putting it off and transform your bathroom and your life in as little as one day with a beautiful, affordable shower makeover from Jacuzzi Bath Remodel. Choose from custom designs tailored to your budget and style, including safety-focused features for beauty and peace of mind.
I've had a great experience from start to finish. The crew that came in, they were so professional. This looks like a marble, beautiful, new shower, and it was done all in one day.
Right now, we're waiving all installation costs, plus offering no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Call now to schedule your free design consultation and quote. Call 800-384-3318. That's 800-384-3318. Call 800-384-3318. With purchase and installation, financing through third-party lenders, subject to credit approval. No interest and no payments if paid in full within 12 months. Charge from purchase date if not paid in full. Not all will qualify. Call dealer for details.
Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our app, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
This hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The House adopted a Republican-only $95 billion budget proposal, a long-shot effort to fund the Iran war and other White House priorities. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says the Iran war does not help the American people afford basic needs.
Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice in Iran has skyrocketed gas prices on everyday Americans who are already suffering from the failed Republican economy and drowning in its poor management.
While Indiana Congressman Marlon Stutzman says Congress needs to back U.S. troops fighting Iran.
U.S. service members are working day and night to be sure Americans are safe from a nuclear bomb in Iran and to advance peace in the Middle East. Our military is the most lethal fighting force known to man, and they are depending on us to help them finish the job.
The measure now goes to the Senate. New Jersey's governor says thousands of non-citizens in the Garden State ended up being eligible to vote due to a computer error. Correspondent Laura Winters reports.
Liberal New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill admits more than 6,000 non-U.S. citizens were on the New Jersey voter rolls. She says 6,600 people were incorrectly registered when they applied for a driver's license. The Democrat governor claims 400 of them ended up voting in elections. These people have reported